Let me be real with you from the very beginning. No one is coming, not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not some mysterious opportunity floating in the clouds. No one is coming to save you. And that is your greatest gift, because the moment you stop waiting, you start building, you stop hoping, and you start creating. The world doesn't hand out freedom. The world hands out lessons. And if you're not learning, you're staying stuck. Every day you wake up with a choice to either own your life or outsource it, to lean in or to lean back, and every time you say, maybe tomorrow, you're handing your power to someone else. Listen, you are not owed progress. You must earn it through effort, through consistency, through falling on your face and getting back up without applause. It's not supposed to feel easy. That's the test. The resistance is the signal. When it burns, when it hurts, when it breaks you down, that's where you're forged. Champions aren't born with talent. They're built in silence, when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when there's every reason to quit and they still show up. You want to know the secret? Stop negotiating with your weakness. You've given enough to your doubts. You've fed the fear long enough. You've sat in the passenger seat of your own life for years. It ends now. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not when it feels perfect, not when the money comes or the motivation strikes. Now, stand up. Speak truth to the voice in your head that says you can't, because that voice isn't a fact. It's a habit. Break it. And when the world tells you it's impossible, you look it in the eyes and say, watch me. No one is coming to save you, because you were never meant to be saved. You were meant to become the kind of person who didn't need saving. When you come to the realization that no one is coming to save you, it leads to one of the most liberating moments of your life. The understanding that your future is entirely in your hands. This is not a cause for despair. This is the foundation of personal power. The sooner you stop waiting for permission, for perfect conditions, or for someone to come fix what's broken, the sooner you step into the version of yourself capable of changing everything. Many people go through life believing that someone, something, or some turning point will rescue them from their pain, their struggles, or their dissatisfaction. They wait for the right political leader, the perfect partner, the ideal job, or some mentor to take them under their wing and deliver them to a better future. But this mindset creates dependency. It creates inertia. And it kills growth. The truth is this: the moment you take full and radical responsibility for your life, your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, and your outcomes, is the moment everything starts to shift. Until then, you are outsourcing your power. You're handing it off to circumstances, people, and systems that were never designed to prioritize your growth. The people around you have their own battles, their own goals, and their own limitations. Expecting someone else to solve your life is like handing the keys of your car to a stranger and expecting them to take you where you want to go. Responsibility is not about blame. It's about ownership. You're not responsible for the traumas or disadvantages you inherited, but you are responsible for what you do next. You are responsible for how you respond, what you believe, what you allow, and what you build. That's not a burden. It's your path to freedom. When you begin to say, if it's going to happen, it's going to be because I made it happen, you stop waiting, you start moving, you start solving, and more importantly, you start growing. People confuse victimhood with honesty. They think that acknowledging how hard life has been means they're being real. But being honest doesn't mean staying stuck. It means recognizing the difficulty and choosing not to let it define you. It means choosing power over passivity. No, you didn't choose your childhood. You didn't choose the economy. You didn't choose who hurt you, but you can choose to rise anyway, and that's what separates those who lead their lives from those who watch life pass by. One of the most damaging beliefs people carry is that someone owes them transformation. They wait for the right coach, the right book, or the right inspiration to finally feel ready. But readiness doesn't come from the outside, it's built internally. It's forged in commitment, clarity, and discomfort. You become ready by deciding that you've waited long enough, And there's something powerful that happens when you stop blaming the world and start shaping your world. You realize that you have influence. You begin to understand that small, intentional choices, made consistently, stack up into momentum. You take control of your mornings. You sharpen your habits. You become disciplined with your time, your energy, your associations. You stop looking for sympathy and start looking for strategy. You see, freedom isn't the absence of struggle, it's the presence of choice. When you understand that you are the ones steering the ship, you stop being a victim of the waves. You start learning how to navigate them. That's what responsibility gives you. It gives you the wheel. You're not at the mercy of life's chaos. You are an active participant in shaping your destiny. And even when you can't control what happens, you can always control who you become in response. There's no growth without ownership. Every successful person you've ever admired didn't wait for someone to pick them. They picked themselves. They started when they didn't feel ready. They failed, they fell, and they figured it out. Not because someone handed them the perfect formula, but because they understood this principle. Asterisk asterisk, no one is coming to save you, and no one needs to. Asterisk asterisk, when you realize that, you stop hoping and you start becoming. You stop avoiding and you start building, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary, and because the alternative, staying stuck, waiting, hoping, is no longer acceptable. Pain is not your enemy. It's your compass, it's your teacher, and if you learn how to listen to it instead of run from it, it can become the most powerful tool in your life. Most people spend their lives avoiding pain. They avoid discomfort. They avoid hard conversations, failure, risk, and rejection. But what they don't realize is that by trying to avoid pain, they're also avoiding growth. Because the doorway to your next level always goes through discomfort. Pain shows up when something matters. It's not random. It's not punishment. It's a signal. When your body feels pain, it's telling you something is wrong, something needs attention. And the same is true emotionally and mentally. When you feel the sting of failure, the weight of disappointment, or the burn of betrayal, it's your life pushing you to wake up, to pay attention, to grow. It's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to develop you. But here's the problem. We're conditioned to think pain is a sign that we're off track. We're taught to chase comfort, to seek ease, to measure success by how stress-free our lives feel. That's a lie. Growth hurts, change is uncomfortable, and transformation is always born through tension. Think about it. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Your mind doesn't sharpen without challenge. Your character doesn't evolve without struggle. What most people call pain is actually the process of becoming stronger. But because they interpret that discomfort as a problem, they pull back. They retreat. They numb it with distractions, with blame, with excuses. Instead of asking, what is this pain trying to teach me? They ask, how fast can I get away from this feeling? And that's why they stay stuck, because the lesson keeps coming back again and again in different forms until it's learned. Everyone wants the reward, everyone wants the results, but very few want the process, and pain is the process. Pain is the price. You don't get to build mental resilience by watching motivational videos or reading feel-good quotes. You build it in the storm. You build it when you fall short, when the deal falls through, when the people you trusted let you down. You build it when everything in you wants to quit. But you don't. Some of the strongest, most driven people on earth didn't become that way in peace. They became that way in adversity, not because they liked pain, but because they learned to use it. They learned how to extract meaning from it. They stopped asking why me, and started asking what now. And in doing so, they turned their setbacks into fuel. Pain humbles you. It strips away the noise. It puts you face to face with your limits, and then dares you to push past them. And in that process, something shifts. You begin to understand that you are more capable than you ever thought. That you can survive what once scared you, that you can endure what once felt impossible. Every painful season you go through, if you stay conscious and present, becomes a training ground, not just for what you're facing now, but for the battles ahead. The truth is, you can't outrun pain. Life will bring it to your doorstep whether you're ready or not. The difference is whether you treat it as a curse or as a curriculum, whether you let it make you bitter or make you better. Pain is not the end of the story, it's the middle. It's the part where you decide who you're going to become. No one develops deep strength in moments of ease. It's forged in the fire. It's built when nothing makes sense, but you keep showing up anyway. It's built when you feel like you've lost everything and still choose to stand. Pain is what clarifies your values. It reveals what actually matters. It shows you where you've been living in denial, where you've been faking it, where you've been drifting. If you learn how to lean into it instead of avoiding it, you'll realize something profound. Pain isn't just part of the journey. It is the path. It's what sharpens your focus, reveals your truth, and breaks you open so something new can be built. And the people who understand that, they don't just survive their pain, they transcend through it. They become unshakable, not because life got easier, but because they got stronger. There's a common misconception that the key to success is motivation. That if you could just feel inspired enough, fired up enough, emotionally charged enough, then you'd finally take action, build momentum, and change your life. But motivation is like a spark. It burns bright for a moment, then fades. You might wake up one day ready to conquer everything, only to find the next day you can barely get out of bed. That's not weakness. That's human nature. And that's why motivation can't be your foundation. Discipline must be. Discipline is what you do after the feeling fades. It's the structure you put in place to protect your future from the inconsistency of your emotions. Discipline is what separates people who dabble from people who dominate. It's not flashy. It's not always exciting, but it works, and it works consistently. If you rely on how you feel, you'll only perform when things are perfect. But if you rely on what you've committed to, what you've decided matters, you'll perform no matter what. Think about any great achievement you admire. Behind every gold medal, best-selling book, world-class business, or elite performance is a person who got up and did the work whether they felt like it or not. Not just once, but over and over again. Discipline isn't about being robotic or emotionless. It's about choosing your higher goals over your lower impulses. It's about honoring your commitments even when your mood changes. Most people set goals based on emotion. They watch a video, get excited, set a big target, and then wonder why they burn out. The truth is, they didn't build the system to support the goal. They had enthusiasm but no structure. They relied on motivation but not on discipline. And when life got busy, when the initial fire faded, when distractions came calling, they had nothing to fall back on. Discipline is what gets you through the gap between where you are and where you want to be. That gap is full of resistance. It's full of days when progress is invisible, when it feels like nothing's changing, when the voice in your head says, "Why bother?" That's when most people quit. But disciplined people don't quit in the gap. They keep showing up. They know that every rep, every draft, every small decision is a deposit in their future. And eventually, those deposits compound into breakthroughs. You can't fake discipline. You either have the habits or you don't. You either show up or you don't. And the beautiful thing is, it's not about talent. It's not about being the smartest or the strongest. It's about being consistent. It's about doing the work when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when no one is clapping. That's where real progress is made, not in the moments of hype, but in the moments of commitment. There's a quiet power in discipline. You stop needing external validation. You stop chasing the next motivational high. You become internally driven. You do what needs to be done because it aligns with who you are becoming, and over time that builds identity. You go from "I hope I can" to "this is just what I do." Discipline rewires your self-image. It turns a wish into a habit, and a habit into a lifestyle. And the truth is, discipline gives you freedom. That might sound backwards, but it's true. When you live without discipline, you're a slave to your impulses. You eat what feels good, say what feels good, waste time doing what feels easy, and at the end of the day, you feel out of control. But when you operate with discipline, you gain control over your life. You don't live at the mercy of how you feel. You create boundaries, systems, and momentum. You gain the freedom to live life on your terms. That doesn't mean you become rigid or joyless. It means you become intentional. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. You build routines that support your health, your growth, your focus. You stop waiting for the perfect mood to create, and you start creating the mood by showing up. Because discipline isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become by doing it. Eventually, discipline becomes less about effort and more about identity. You stop debating whether you'll work out, whether you'll study, whether you'll make the call, because it's already been decided. You've trained yourself to move, to act, to execute, and when you live that way, progress becomes inevitable, not because every day feels great, but because every day counts. There comes a time when you have to stop playing small. You have to stop bargaining with your potential. The world doesn't reward you for what you could have done. It rewards you for what you actually do. And too many people spend their lives negotiating with their excuses. They let fear, doubt, and uncertainty talk them out of action. Every day they postpone greatness, waiting for a moment that feels right, when in reality the right moment is made, not found. Your potential is not a suggestion. It's a responsibility, and yet most people treat it like a luxury, something they'll get around to exploring when it's convenient. But life doesn't wait for convenience. It doesn't pause while you figure it out. If you don't use your potential, it doesn't grow, it atrophies. And over time, the weight of unused talent becomes heavier than failure ever could be. You don't feel guilt for what you tried and failed at. You feel guilt for what you never had the courage to pursue. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you reinforce a belief that you're not ready, not good enough, or not capable. That belief becomes your reality. It shapes how you show up, how you speak, how you think, and how you perform. You begin to shrink your goals to match your fears instead of expanding your courage to match your potential. That's the real danger, not external failure, but internal surrender. There's a mental habit that many people fall into, where they constantly seek to justify their inaction. They tell themselves they're planning, preparing, waiting for clarity. But in reality, they're stalling. They're negotiating. They're asking themselves, how can I avoid discomfort and still grow? And the answer is, you can't. Growth and discomfort are part of the same package. You can't have one without the other. If you want to reach new levels, you must give up the habit of waiting until you feel ready. There's a cost to every compromise you make with your potential. The time you waste can't be regained. The opportunities you delay may not come around again. And perhaps most importantly, every time you break a promise to yourself, when you say you'll do something and you don't, you lose trust in your own word. That's a silent erosion of confidence that builds over time. Eventually, you start to believe your own excuses. You stop expecting more from yourself, and you settle. But you weren't made to settle. You weren't made to survive the day. You were made to shape it. You were made to build, to create, to influence, to lead. And the difference between those who do and those who don't isn't talent, it's choice. The choice to stop negotiating. The choice to stop saying, I'll do it later, and start saying, I'll do it now. The choice to stop asking for reassurance and start acting from responsibility. You can't become powerful by avoiding pressure. You can't become skilled by avoiding failure. And you certainly can't become fulfilled by avoiding risk. If you want a bigger life, you must demand more from yourself than the minimum. Raise the standard, not someday. Now, don't let yourself off the hook just because it's hard. Growth is supposed to be hard. That's why it's meaningful. There will always be a reason to wait. There will always be a reason to shrink back. You'll always be able to justify small thinking and half effort. But the people who rise, the people who change their lives and impact the world, are the ones who stop entertaining those reasons. They feel the same fear, the same doubt, the same resistance, but they move anyway. Because they understand something most people don't. Potential is not permanent. If you don't use it, you lose it. Every morning you wake up, you're presented with a choice. Will you honor the person you're capable of becoming, or will you serve the version of you that's afraid, lazy, and doubtful? That choice adds up over time. And it doesn't take a lifetime to change. It takes one decision, repeated daily. The decision to no longer settle. The decision to no longer explain away mediocrity. The decision to no longer negotiate with weakness, delay, or fear. That's where power lies, in the discipline of forward motion, in the refusal to let your feelings dictate your future, in the awareness that every small action builds the identity of someone who is no longer willing to live beneath their potential. You don't need more time, more talent, or more information. You need more decisiveness, more urgency, more refusal to delay what you know you're meant to become, because the longer you delay, the more your potential turns into regret. And the only way to break that pattern is to stop negotiating and start executing. There is a hard truth most people don't want to accept. No one is coming to save you. Not your family, not your friends, not a mentor, not some miracle opportunity. Waiting for someone else to fix your problems is a guaranteed way to stay stuck. Life is not a rescue mission. It's a responsibility, and the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you'll tap into the power you've had all along. It's easy to fall into the trap of waiting for better timing, waiting for someone to validate your ideas, waiting for the economy to improve, waiting until you feel ready. But that kind of waiting is just fear dressed up as logic. It's hesitation disguised as strategy. You're not waiting. You're avoiding risk, avoiding responsibility, avoiding the mirror. But here's the thing, the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Because every day you delay, you reinforce the lie that you're not in control of your own life. Ownership is the game changer. The moment you stop blaming your circumstances, your past, your parents, your boss, or the system, and start saying, "This is my life, and it's my job to change it," everything shifts. That shift is not external. It's not about the world being fair. It's about refusing to give away your power. You may not be responsible for everything that's happened to you, but you are absolutely responsible for what you do next. There is no cavalry, no secret savior, no magical mentor who's going to knock on your door and change your life, and that's not depressing, that's empowering, because once you stop waiting, you start building. You stop hoping, and you start creating. You stop searching for a shortcut, and you begin mastering the long road. That road is tough, but it's yours, and once you claim it, you'll never give it back. People spend so much time looking outward for answers that they forget how much is already inside them. The skills, the creativity, the resilience, it's already there. What's missing is the belief that you have permission to use it. You don't need permission, you don't need approval, you need courage, courage to take that first imperfect step, courage to be seen trying, courage to fail, learn, and rise again. The reality is, most people underestimate what they're capable of because they've been taught to seek direction from outside themselves, from the education system, from society, from people who are just as confused and afraid as they are. So they play it safe. They wait for a sign, for clarity, for the moment when everything makes sense. But clarity doesn't come before action. It comes from action. You move forward, and then the fog begins to lift. You take the leap, and only then do the wings start to grow. This mindset of radical responsibility changes everything. It means you stop waiting for your life to feel different, and you make it different. You stop hoping someone will give you a break, and you create your own opportunities. You stop asking, when will things change? And you start asking, what can I change today? That question puts the power back in your hands. That's where it belongs. You will face moments where it feels overwhelming, where the weight of everything on your shoulders seems too much to bear, but it's in those moments, when you keep going anyway, that you build something deeper than momentum. You build trust in yourself. You realize you're not fragile, you're not helpless, you're not a victim, you're a creator, and the more you take responsibility, the more powerful you become. Responsibility is not the same as blame. It's not about punishing yourself or carrying guilt. It's about owning your power. It's about standing up and saying, this is my life, these are my results, and if I don't like them, I have the ability to change them. That doesn't guarantee instant success, but it guarantees growth. It guarantees forward motion, and that's more valuable than anything someone else could ever hand you. When you stop waiting to be rescued, you realize you never needed saving. You needed awakening. You needed to remember who you were before the world convinced you to shrink. You needed to believe that your life can be built from the inside out, not the outside in, and that belief, that internal shift, is what starts the fire. Not the kind that burns out after one motivational high, but the kind that keeps you moving long after the feeling is gone. You already have everything you need to start, not everything you need to finish, but enough to begin. And beginning is what separates those who dream from those who do. The door is not locked. The system is not perfect. The world is not fair, but none of those are excuses. They're just facts. And once you stop waiting for fairness and start building with what you've got, you become unstoppable. Because no one is coming, but you are, and that's more than enough. Let this truth settle deep. No one is coming to save you, but that's not a curse, it's your greatest gift. Because once you accept that no rescue team is en route, you stop looking out the window and start looking in the mirror. That's where your power lies. That's where your transformation begins. The day you decide to stop waiting for a savior is the day you become the architect of your own life. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. And you certainly don't need the world to make it easy for you. What you need is to decide. Decide that you've had enough of the excuses, the procrastination, the fear-based stories. Decide that your future matters more than your comfort, because everything changes when you take radical ownership, not partial, not conditional, full ownership. That's the threshold most never cross, but the few who do. They build lives that others can only imagine. You were not born to blend in. You were not made to settle for survival when your spirit craves expansion. There's something inside you that knows you're capable of more. Something that stirs every time you see someone else win, not out of jealousy, but because a deeper part of you knows you could do it too. That inner voice, it's not lying, it's reminding you of the strength you've buried, the courage you've ignored, and the calling you've delayed. You don't have to have all the answers to start. You just have to start. One honest step in the right direction will teach you more than 1,000 hours of waiting ever could. Action breeds clarity, motion breeds confidence, and momentum changes everything. But none of it happens until you stop outsourcing your power, until you stop waiting to be saved and instead, save yourself, through discipline, through consistency, through raw and relentless commitment to becoming better. There will be setbacks, there will be failure, but there will also be growth. There will be moments where you surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Moments where you realize you've become someone you once admired from a distance. Not because someone came to fix your life, but because you stopped waiting and started building. Every time you choose progress over pity, grit over excuses, action over anxiety, you are proving to yourself that you are the answer. Not some guru, not some perfect moment, asterisk you, asterisk that's the truth, that's the lesson, and that's the freedom, because once you fully understand that no one is coming, you stop hoping for a hero, and you start becoming one. For your family, for your community, for yourself, and that's where real change begins. That's where legacy is born. That's where lives are transformed. So stand up. Take ownership and move forward. No more waiting. No more negotiating. No more hiding. You are not broken. You are not helpless. You are ready. You are responsible. You are enough. And now, it's time to rise.